Hello, it's Monday morning. Welcome to Wayne Goldsboro Television. I'm Kim Best.
And I'm Wayne Alley, and we're glad you're with us on this Monday. And I hope you're doing well today. A great weekend we had. We did indeed. The weather was nice. Toward the end of this week, we'll continue to be in the mid-80s. And the weather's going to be nice. So perhaps a chance of rain, and that's always a good thing because the rain's been good to us
It certainly has.
This spring. The crops are looking great. The corn's looking fantastic, and the wheat's looking good. And here we go. We're going to move on. And who's on today's program?
Let's see. We have Miss LATERRIE Ward.
Oh, yeah.
She is from Community Affairs with the City of Goldsboro, and she's here to talk about the Mayor's Youth Council, what they do and how many of them there are, and some of their accomplishments.
That's great. All right.
Then we have City Manager Scott Stevens. He's given his monthly update on what's happening within the City of Goldsboro.
Okay.
And then we also have someone here that you talk with about amateur radio.
Pete Wayne is going to be with us. He's with the Amateur Radio Club here in Goldsboro, and that's a very broad area to talk about, but that covers things like ham radio. Ham radio is a world unto itself. If you wanted to talk to somebody in Argentina, somebody in Cuba, somebody in China, you can do that. You can talk to anybody in the world
on ham radio.
Sure, you can. Yeah, and it's a ham radio is a large setup usually, generally, but you don't have to talk to somebody overseas. You can talk to somebody in South Carolina or even Dudley, for that matter.
Well, how about that?
But it's a ham radio is a worldwide hobby. It's been popular now for close to 100 years now. It's a big hobby, and there's a lot of people who do this. Millions of people are involved with ham radio.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Millions.
Millions.
My goodness. Well, I can't wait to hear about it.
Okay, well, we'll hear about it from Pete Wayne here in just a little while. But not only ham radio, but just other amateur radio, which covers a large area. And we'll be talking about that a little later on.
Wonderful.
I do want you to know that coming up, you have a chance to play miniature golf. Everybody loves miniature golf, and do it for a very little amount of money. And also, you'll be able to help out multiple sclerosis, National Multiple Sclerosis Society. The way this is going to work is the All Stars Family Fun Center on Cashwell Drive. Will make a donation to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society if you mention a special phrase, and that phrase is BIKE, B-I-K-E-M-S. BIKE M-S. If you go and you want to play a game of miniature golf, this is only on June 10th.
Ah, just that one day.
That one day, June 10th, which is...
I'm not sure what day of the week that is.
That's today.
Is that today?
That's today. Today's the 10th.
It is. Oh my goodness.
It is. That's right. Today's the 10th.
How quickly we forget.
How quickly we forget. See, I used to read the calendar a lot, but I gave it up. It's got numbers and stuff on it.
So all day today, you can go play miniature golf at All Stars Family Fun Center.
That's
Mention BIKE MS.
Say BIKE MS, and when you do, you play for only $5, a full 18 holes for $5, and donation will be made to National Multiple Sclerosis Society. This is a great event. A lot of people involved here, and it's very generous of the All Stars Family Fun Center to make that donation. And you get to go and you get to have a lot of fun. Play 18 holes of miniature golf for only $5. There you go. Mention,
right.
but you
have to
must
say BIKE MS.
You have to say BIKE MS. Okay.
Wonderful.
All right, that's today. Today is the 10th.
Yes, it is.
Gee.
Well, do you have a trivia question for us?
A trivia question. Yes, I do.
All right.
As soon as I find one. Yes, here we go. No, I don't.
Well, I can't wait to hear who shot the block. I haven't heard who was awarded downtown dollars.
Shot the block.
Shot the block. But I can't wait to hear it. Usually they'll send me some pictures from DGDC. They'll send me pictures of who was awarded downtown dollars, and you see that surprised look on their face?
Oh, yeah.
And I'll post them on the city's Facebook page.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got a good one?
I think I do.
Not so much?
Yes, I think I do. Everyone knows who Harrison Ford is.
Yes, we do.
One of my favorite actors there. Harrison Ford does a lot of his own stunts too, by the way, or did at one time. Did a lot of his own stunts. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Like the time he was hanging on a helicopter.
Oh, yes.
In that movie where the helicopter took off from the top of a building, and you see the character hanging on.
Oh,
well, that was actually him doing that.
Wow.
Yeah, doing a lot of his own stunts.
He must like adrenaline rushes.
He must, yeah. Or helicopters.
Well, either one or both.
He has, and this is a science category.
Science. Okay.
Science and Harrison Ford. Where's that
I don't know, I'm
anyway?
waiting to hear.
A living, breathing thing with
Yes.
legs has been named after Harrison Ford.
Not a child.
Doggone it, that's right. No, that's not it. That's a good answer, though. I wish I'd thought of that. That was funny. But no, not a child.
Living and breathing.
Living
And
and breathing
legs.
thing, yeah, absolutely. A living and breathing thing. As a matter of fact, and if I say it's a member of the animal kingdom, that throws you all off. But
Yes.
it is. Okay?
Okay.
Has legs, living, breathing, and all that kind of stuff. What is it?
I don't know.
It is it is called Calpurnia harrisonfordi.
Interesting.
Calpurnia harrisonfordi. What is it?
That's the only hint you're going to give
That's
us?
the only hint.
Okay.
Living and breathing thing with legs.
And it's not a human being?
Member of the animal kingdom, not a human being.
Okay.
It is Calpurnia harrisonfordi. It was discovered a few years back. What is it?
We'll wait to hear that on.
I can't wait to.
We'll anxiously await that.
Yes, okay. Okay.
Let's see, I'm trying to think if there's anything coming up today.
Well, while you're looking,
Yes.
Dr. Alfred Okeke will be at Wayne Memorial Hospital, or is at Wayne Memorial Hospital. He's going to have a program called Take Control of Your Diabetes. That's coming up on the 18th.
They're having a lot of really good focused programs that they're offering at the hospital.
They are. They certainly are. This is a great program because so many people are affected with diabetes. You know, there's X number of people here in Wayne County who have diabetes, and the same number of people who don't even know they have it.
That's scary.
That is scary. That is scary. Of course, there's two types, as you well know, type 1 and type 2. Type 2, well, I won't get into that. You can find out for yourself at the Take Control of Your Diabetes workshop with Dr. Alfred Okeke, June 18th at Wayne Memorial Hospital. Now, you can call the hospital to get information about when it's going to be held and where it's going to be, but it's part of the hospital's Learn to Live Well education series. June 18th at the hospital, take control of your diabetes.
Well, Wayne, there's a 4-H cooking camp tomorrow.
Oh, boy.
Tomorrow from 9 until 3 at Wayne Center in the kitchen. I'm assuming that's right there. That's part of the 4-H, Wayne County 4-H.
Right.
They're going to teach you how to cook. This is for ages 7 through 11. So if you want your youngster to learn how to cook,
7 through 11.
ages 7 through 11.
Oh, okay.
The cost is $15.
Okay.
This is all through the 4-H. And this is a camp just for children ages 7 through 11, and I don't have the second part of this, so that's all I know. How about that?
And Wayne Center, as you well know, is part of Wayne Center. The auditorium is
That's right.
at the corner of George and Chestnut
They have a
Street.
nice big kitchen in there.
It's a great kitchen. Yes. Yes. Got a big blood drive coming up on June 19th, by the way. That's next week. Week after next. Wednesday week at the Red Cross office at 600 North George Street. Big blood drive there. Okay?
That
All
sounds
right.
wonderful.
Calpurnia harrisonfordi.
No, I can't wait to hear the answer to that one.
I'm telling you.
Well, this Friday,
Yes.
June the 14th,
Yes.
at 7 p.m. until
yes.
10 at
Yes, yes.
Wayne Services on Aging,
Yes, yes, yes.
they're having a senior dance.
A senior dance?
A senior dance. It
Hey.
doesn't cost a thing.
2,
Of
3,
course,
4.
it's at the senior center. If you're interested, you can give them a call. Do you know that phone number off the top of your head?
705-1785.
I believe that's right.
Is that right?
I believe it is.
Is that right?
Yes, you did good.
Thank you. I think that's right. 705-1785.
That's what you said.
That's what I said. There you go. All right, coming up on June 15th, the 22nd, and the 29th, a 3-part series, 3 Saturdays in a row. It's Gardening School 101. Gardening School
That's
101. Whether you already know everything there is to possibly know about gardening, or whether you know absolutely nothing at all, you will enjoy this workshop. It is to learn, and Jessica Strickland, the horticulturist for the Wayne Cooperative Extension Service for Wayne County, will be the instructor. She'll be the person who will be showing you what to do if you don't know anything at all about gardening. Now, if you've always wanted to start a garden, you just didn't know where to start, here's your chance right here. And if you already have a garden, you may be having some problems with it, you'll still want to go to this. It's absolutely free. It doesn't cost a dime. It doesn't cost anything. It is free. They need to hear from you, though, so that they know you're coming by June 12th. Call Diane at 731-1520, 731-1520, and say, I want to be a part of this workshop. And then she'll put you down, and they have to have at least 20 people, but they cannot take more than 50. So it's limited. But if you want to know about gardening, this is great. 3 weekends in a row, 3 Saturdays, 3 parts, June 15th, 22nd, 29th. Again, that number is 919-731-1520. Okay.
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 Well, they are looking a job. I mean, if you're looking a job and you're a teenager, if you want to be a lifeguard, were you ever a lifeguard?
I was never a lifeguard.
Really? I was.
Were you really?
I was. I did it for years. Sure did. But they're offering those classes at the Family Y. It's a 2-weekend process, and if you're interested in being a lifeguard and you're a teenager, they are certainly open to you calling and signing up. You call the Goldsboro Family Y. I don't have that number in front of me. Or goldsboroymca.org, and you can find out information there if you want to be a lifeguard.
One of my favorite people was a lifeguard, and he saved dozens and dozens and dozens of lives before he became famous.
Who was that?
Ronald Reagan.
Well, how about that?
How about that?
One of the most famous lifeguards of all.
He was indeed, and he was good at what he did, too. He was a good lifeguard.
Go see all of our different videos. We have 3
ready?
different interviews. I think we are, so stay tuned. We've got 3 really good ones.
All right.
Well, hello. I'm Scott Stevens, Goldsboro City Manager. We're here for our June update. They roll around pretty fast. Hope your summer is starting well. A couple things to mention. I do want to thank the Dillard alumni. They held their annual event here in Goldsboro at the end of May. A lot of folks coming back to the community, a lot of folks in the community part of that, and I do want to thank them for their support of Goldsboro. They've been a strong supporter for many years, and we welcome and appreciate their efforts. In terms of the City Council and business of the city, probably the biggest news for us is the adoption of our budget for our next fiscal year. It's our fiscal year 2013-2014 budget. Our year begins July 1st, 2013 and runs through June 30th of 2014. Our budget does total $52 million, or just over $52 million. There is no tax or utility fee increase. There's $250,000 for street resurfacing next year. And I just would tell position-wise, we have 441 full-time positions with the city, but that is 40 positions less than we had just 4 years ago. So we're doing much of the same things with fewer people. And I just want the community to know I do appreciate our employees and their efforts, but we are trying to serve you with less people and not let you see the impact of that. The budget message and the budget itself is available online. At this point, it'll be a recommended budget. We will change that to the adopted budget, but they're very similar, and you can see that at the city's homepage. So you could look at our website. There does have a tab for our recommended budget, and that is very close to what the council adopted at their June 3rd meeting. If you have any questions on that, please don't hesitate to contact me in the manager's office. We've also talked an awful lot about our Tiger Grant, or spent the last month. We've talked with council in May. Our staff's worked on it. We did submit the Tiger Grant June 3rd. It includes Union Station, the rehabilitation of that, the inclusion of our Gateway Bus Transfer Center, the balance of the funding that is needed for that, and then a number of blocks of streetscape, including Center Street, Walnut Street, and a portion of Carolina Avenue that we would improve to connect those facilities to our downtown. The project costs total $21.9 million. We're requesting $16.5 million in grant funds from the Tiger funding, and then $5.4 million in local funding. So we expect to hear something before September of this year, so we ought to know a yes or a no to that grant application within the next few months. I think we have a very good grant application. I think our staff put a lot of time and effort into that, but I also know the requests and the competitiveness with other communities across the country will be a challenge as well. So I think we've submitted a good project, and we're very optimistic for it to be funded, but we should know that in the coming months. In part of meeting a portion of the grant, you do need to have shovel-ready project. The streetscape project, at least the blocks of Center Street, are currently under design. We've held public meetings early in the month of June to discuss just some issues of widening the existing sidewalks versus replacing the existing sidewalks. They'd all be at the same slope, and they'd all be the same width at the end, but do we leave the current brick sidewalk that's there and extend it, or do we replace it all with new? Construction of sidewalk in the median, as we did at the first block at City Hall, do we do that in the next 2 or 3 blocks? And then the installation of roundabouts. One was proposed at Walnut and Center Street. Do we do more roundabouts or no roundabouts? And some of the pros and cons were discussed with roundabouts, meaning better traffic flow, but you lose a few more parking spaces in your downtown area. And the cost is about the same to whether we have signalized intersection without wires versus the roundabout. The construction costs are very similar there. But that's the discussion that's gone on in early June. We'll have a recommendation that we expect to take to City Council at their June 17th meeting so that we can move on with the completed and finalize our design and have our bid specs ready by late summer so that we put that project out to bid if funding becomes available. Do want to mention hurricane season. Goldsboro is not a coastal town, but we still feel the impacts from hurricanes, and it is time-wise. June 1st through November 30th is hurricane season. The North Carolina Emergency Management recommends a number of things for all of us to be prepared, and it's easier to get prepared ahead of the storm rather than days ahead of the storm. So if you'll go ahead and make plans to know where you'll be and how your family will function during a hurricane. But North Carolina Emergency Management recommends that we update homeowners insurance policies and make sure that you have the right coverage for damage, natural disasters, and flooding if necessary. They also recommend that families should be prepared, have a plan and emergency supply kit ready, and the kit should contain enough non-perishable food and a gallon of water per person per day. And you should be prepared to sustain your family for a period of 3 to 7 days is the recommendation from our state. So I would encourage you to visit their website, www.readync.org. Again, we'll share that information, but it's www.readync.org for more information on what you should include in your emergency kit. But those are things that we ought to be preparing for ahead of time. And you need to not forget pets. Oftentimes when you evacuate to a shelter, pets are not allowed there. So you need to think about where your pets would go or how you would feed your pets or take care of them in addition to your family. So preparation is key when a disaster comes. And again, so June 1st to November 30th, and we would encourage all of our residents to make adequate preparations for your family. City Council did discuss at their recent meeting an offer that they had on the building at Spence and Ash, the former Arts Council building. We did receive a bid or an offer to purchase that site for $500,000. The City Council did not accept that offer to purchase, I guess primarily because we have it under contract to remove the building and clear the site, and that should be done within the next 60 days, so by the end of July. And we expect that once the site is cleared, we'll generate some additional interest in the hopes of generating more or larger offer than the $500,000 that was received. So we'll see, time will tell on that, but that's where we are at this point, and I believe the council has a good rationale behind their decision to delay the acceptance of an offer to purchase on that property. I also want to talk about our Goldsboro Partnership Against Crime. Again, it's this initiative we've talked about a number of times in which we call in the violent offenders within our community and tell them the rules are different for them. And so we're working in a program where we're calling in 10 to 15 or 10 to 20 at a time, maybe 2 to 3 meetings a year. We held our first one in March. And while we can't change the rules for everyone, we can change the rules for this group. And the hope is that we can encourage this group to make a choice not to commit any future violent crimes. And the community resources will be there to help support them, but also to put them on notice that if they don't make that choice to change their lifestyle, that the next violent offense they have, they will move to the front of the line of the criminal justice system. And in other parts of the state, and we've talked about High Point a lot, this has been extremely successful at reducing violence within the community. In High Point, they've called in over 1,000 of their most violent offenders over the past 15 to 20 years, a few at a time. Over 900 of those have not had another violent offense. And so if we have anything like that success record of 90% of the violent offenders in a community not reoffending again, we would be very, very excited about that. I expect we'll have good results. Again, we held our first call in March. We have another one scheduled for July 16th. So I want to commend our police department and Sergeant Chero in particular. But would ask any of you that would like to be involved. Information is available on the city's website, or to call my office and we'd get you plugged in with Sergeant Chero. And so if you want to be part of it or understand more about it, we'd like to share that with you. Would also want to share with you that our new bus logoing as part of that is all part of this same, trying to have a consistent message within the community to make sure that those that might commit a violent offense know there are some significant and serious consequences if you choose to continue violence against others. And again, so you'll see we've installed this as of June 2nd, these were installed on our gateway buses, the large buses that run within the city, and so you'll see that messaging throughout the community for the months to come. But it's all part of that same Project Safe Neighborhood and our GPAC program. So any other thoughts or ideas you have on that, we'd be happy to talk with you or come speak to groups about it or try to make sure you understand what we're doing and why. We've also talked about an animal control ordinance a number of times, I guess early spring, really trying to address feral dogs and cats. There are problems in certain neighborhoods and trying to help our police department better capture these animals. And part of that ordinance was a fine if you were feeding animals. So we're trying to get it so not to starve the animals to death, but the idea that if you're feeding them or residents are feeding these animals, that when we set traps to catch them with food, they don't enter our traps because they're not hungry. So again, that ordinance I think will come back to the City Council June 17th. We've had a number of discussions with groups that came out saying they were able to help support these efforts without us fining residents. We've also had some requests from residents who say the problem continues to be a significant problem in their neighborhoods, and so we've tried to work with both groups to have a balance. And although the ordinance may say that we would levy those fines, it would still be complaint driven. We're not out actively seeking those that are feeding an animal without a home, but where there are problems in a neighborhood and residents are complaining, we do try to trap those animals and carry them to the SPCA and let them handle the animals in a humane way. So that is to come back before our council, and I believe it will be on their June 17th agenda. I want to mention our assistant manager position. As you know, Tasha Logan left us last month and has gone to work for the city of Rocky Mount. Really sorry to lose Tasha. I think it's a great opportunity for her, and I'm happy for her. Sad for Goldsboro. We are accepting applications for this position through the end of June, so if you have an interest in the position, it's posted on our website, and we are accepting applications through June 30th. Likely be August or September before we would fill that position, but if you have an interest, now's the time. Activities within the community. There is a lot going on within the Goldsboro community over the summer. Probably it's a busy time in particular for our Parks and Recreation Department. And I would tell you our website's a great place to go, or our DGDC downtown website, as well as Parks and Recreation's website, or you can call Parks and Recreation for anything related to your children and where you'd like to have them. So I would encourage you to do that and make sure you get involved in what's going on within the community. The final thing I'd like to share with you today is I did have a large staff meeting with what I consider our leadership and administrative support. It's approximately 70 employees with the City of Goldsboro. And part of the message focuses on customer service and perceptions. We have a lot of great employees. We work hard to serve the community and do our jobs each and every day. But if something doesn't look right to you, please don't hesitate to give me a call. I'm sure there would be a reasonable explanation for it, but I'd much rather you call than wonder why we were doing this or why we were doing that, and make sure I get the right information to you so that you can understand, or if there's something we need to address with an employee, we will. We do have a great staff. We are ready to serve. So please call on us when we can help, and call me if you've had a good experience or not so good experience. And we'd be happy to share both of those with our staffs and make sure we're adjusting appropriately. Again, thank you for listening. If I can be of service, please don't hesitate to contact me.
We're very pleased to have our County Commission Chair in the studio with us this morning. Chairman Steve Keene is with us, and we appreciate you being with us. Steve, how you doing?
Wayne, always a pleasure.
Great to have you with us.
Early morning. Get to see you and Barbara.
All right. You know, the Commission has been steadfast lately in fact, the last several months in paying attention to the budget. That's
the budget. What is that?
Money, man. Now, that's one of the most important things that, of course, our county commissioners do, is determine from where we get our money and then how to spend it wisely. So, my question to you this morning, we'll start with this. Why is the budget, why are we scrutinizing the budget so closely here lately? And in fact, the Commission has been paying a lot of attention to the budget, and in fact going into great detail and actually holding special budget sessions. So why is it important? What did you learn from it? And where do we go from here?
Too many questions. Too
Sorry,
early in the
I'll
morning.
back up a little bit. Okay.
No, I've got your first question.
Okay.
Why, of course, is we are, this is post-recession. It's just plain and simple. 07, everybody was going at it. 08, we saw what was happening. I came on as a new commissioner in 08. I understood absolutely nothing. I'm going to be honest with you, what I was getting into. 08, 09, being a businessman, of course, watching cash flow. 08, 09, watching the budget in 09, watching it in 10, going through it in 11, being reelected. We have 4 new commissioners that have never seen a county budget. They come in 6 months into it. That's already half over. I know within 90 days we're going to start ramping up for 12, 13, and or 13, yeah, 13, 14. Wow, it's going by fast.
It is.
And seeing the 4 new ones, you getting the dollars in line to get into the next budget year. You've got to say, okay, as a chairman, what do you really start with? Well, like this past work session, we started with revenue. Mm-hmm. So it was important to understand that, to get them to understand that we're all together. We've got to sort of get through this together, and so let's start together, and that's revenues.
So a smart business person knows where his money's coming from and where it's going. But
got to know where it's coming from first.
What's in your mind the biggest difference between a private commercial business application or budget and a government budget? What are the biggest differences that you see?
Of course, my biggest difference is I wasn't dealing in millions and millions of dollars.
That's right. As a businessman, you weren't, were you?
No, not millions and millions.
Right.
But the biggest difference is cash flow, understanding the revenue source, not the expenditures. Yeah. It's the revenue. It's how much you're going to get in for that 30-day period, 60-day, 90-day period. It's cash flow. It's being in the car wash business, watching the rain, you know, it's cash flow. Being in the government business, it's what is not coming out of Raleigh anymore, what is not coming from the national level, because so much of our budget is grants. And you would look at, well, you see the school system, their budget probably is it's more than ours, over $200 million. And all that money basically comes from state and federal funds. And we're anteing up somewhere around 18 million out of their 200 million plus budget. Our budget's probably right now looking at 161 million, but we're looking at a net of about 121. And the difference is a net and a gross is the net is actual tax dollars that the people of Wayne County pay. That's your property tax and your fees. It's not your grants. And so let's come right back down and get to basics, is find out what is the tax rate, what's the property tax. After the revalve, we've got a property of counties about $7 billion, right, up from about $5.9 billion. So you look at your exact net proceeds, that's your cash flow, if everybody pays their taxes on time.
Of course.
So we have that tax, and we look at it and say, okay, here are all the programs that we have in our county. Mm-hmm. These are all this is what everybody does. This is how we live and how we move about in our county, in our cities, and we have to start with the revenue. We've got to start.
And I know the scrutiny has been done years back, but as you mentioned, you have 4 new commissioners that came from different walks of life, different businesses, and they're coming together as a board now. And now Mr. Bell's been on for about 13 years. Yes. You've been on for a couple of
this is about fifth
year.
Yes. Yep.
And then Mr. Mayo was on
a year.
He's been on a year, and all the others are new. So
Mr. Aycock, Mr. Cromartie, Mr. Daugherty, and Mr. Pate.
Exactly, and they all came from different areas of the county and different businesses and such, different backgrounds, and they're all coming together to make decisions about how to find the money and how to spend the money. So what have they told you, or what's been the word from these new commissioners about what they have learned from these budget sessions?
They're telling me to slow down.
Oh, really? Wow. What are you doing too quickly?
Well, a lot of meetings. Just we're
Yeah.
getting together and communicating, and I've told them after July 1, then we can go fishing maybe a day or two.
Well, that's good.
Or go sailing or something. But play golf. But we're doing what we've sworn to do for the people. They've elected us to get together and make these decisions, and you have to. I tell my wife, if you don't go, you don't know. So you've got to go and be a part of it, and then it's like a farmer. He gets out on a piece of property, he puts his hands in it, he feels it, he tastes it, and that's what we're doing, and we're getting involved where we're actually seeing the budget come alive through the staff that are bringing these departments to us, and we're seeing who they are, and we're finding out about them and who their staffs are, and how many people are in their programs, and who do they service. This is a service industry.
This is what I found to be so interesting, is that you called all the department directors to come to the commissioners and explain what they do, the problems they're having, and what they need and what they don't need, and commissioners responded.
Yes, we have to understand.
Yeah.
If you don't understand, you can't make a solid, good decision, and then you end up 2, 3, 4 months into the year backing up, and we always do that. Boy, I wish we would have just thought about that, or
Yeah.
wish we had have done this a different way. But it's about planning, long-term planning. You plan your work your plan,
Yeah.
and you just can't just go out there and throw a seed and expect it to germinate and grow. And you've got to nurture it, and you've got to plan on where to put it. And that's what we're doing with these programs. We're watching them.
And I think you've done that, Steve, in that not only bringing the directors to the commissioners, but also you taking the commissioners out to the facilities, looking at all the properties and the buildings that, and many or some are in need of repair. And you wouldn't have known that if you hadn't seen it yourself.
Right.
The helicopter,
Sure.
you toured Wayne County from high above. You got a good perspective of the county when you did that.
We did. All of us. We went up, and though except a couple of us, but
Yeah.
we've gone up and looked at everything. It did. Yes.
And Wayne County has a lot to offer new businesses. Look at the new Lee plant out south of town. They are growing. The Lee Duke Progress Energy plant, and we're hoping to find more of those that find Wayne County attractive, aren't we?
Well, we're very fortunate, very blessed that Progress Energy, Duke Energy now elected to stay.
Mm-hmm.
We're excited about the potential of tax dollars. We are going to miss those 1,000 workers that were here for 2 years to build that plant.
Yeah.
We are going to miss the 1,000+ workers after Cherry Hospital gets built.
Yeah.
Here again, that's just another indicator, is that you have 1,000 people working and spending, moving
That's right.
about the county, where they're sleeping, where they're eating, and then they're gone. So you have another 1,000 that come in and work on a huge project, and they do the same thing. They sleep, they go out and eat somewhere, and they spend money, and then after the project's over, they move, they're gone. And you just have to be careful that when you look at the plant, that's a great thing, but now it took a lot of people over a period of time to build that plant. Once that plant's going, there's not that number of people in there. It's just that all of that it took to build that project. Same with Cherry Hospital. And you have the employees and you have the staff, of course, but then you have to be careful with false indicators. These little indicators show growth and patterns, but are they sustainable? Do they last? Is it the cash flow? We worked on something with a school in looking at how much it would cost to build a school. You could just pull out $30 million. Well, $30 million can be borrowed and paid back over a period of time. Anything it's just borrowed money. You pay it back in 10 years, 15 years. But to sustain a school between 600 and 800 kids, you probably got about a $1.4 to $1.6 million sustainable a dollar amount that you've got to sustain that school year after year after year, forever, after the bill's paid off. So you have to know where the dollars are, how they're going to be spent, and that's all about budgeting. And I just pulled school, I pulled Progress Energy or Duke Energy. I just pulled those as, in my mind, spending money. Where does it come from? Again, we're pushing jobs. We've got to have the jobs, but they just can't stay here for 2 years and they're gone. Yeah. We've got to have jobs that last for 20 years, 25, 30 years. And there you see your longevity and your numbers of people who stay. So if you get your jobs and you have a person that links into that job, they may have kids into the job, that job force, and that company might spur off another company and your kids go to work for that company, and everybody, family and all, are staying here in Wayne County. So it's not it's not here, you're here for 2 or 3 years and then you're gone or you leave and not come back.
I think our Development Alliance and our travel and tourism offices, they're all doing a great job in getting the word out about Wayne County. One of the most important things that new industry considering moving to this area will look at first is education, and the education that's offered in our schools and in our colleges locally. Of course, we're very proud of Wayne Community College and Mount Olive College, and of course there are other colleges around as well. Of course, there's North Carolina Wesleyan right up the street from us here.
Sure.
And these are all colleges that offer a great deal. But we're also very proud of our Work Keys program, the CRCs that we're so proud of here, that we've done so well, and in fact one of the leaders in the state in that regard. So how do we convince new industry to move to Wayne County? What would you tell them?
Well, we got great resources. It's not a research triangle, but it certainly is a rural county that's outside the metro area. We've got all the resources that you just mentioned. We've got the good staff, we've got the good location, we've got the roads coming in now, we have access. But all the other counties like rural eastern North Carolina, we cannot think independently any longer. We have to think regionally. So you say, well, Wayne County, strategically, you've heard me say logistically, we're in a good place outside of the Wake County coming east, and then you have your contiguous counties again, your rural counties. So what makes people want to come to Wayne County? That's the key, and that's quality of life. It's the job market, per capita income, your unemployment rate. We've got to look at all of these, and of course, big corporations to come in and settle in, they want to know what the county is going to provide their workers. And what would I suggest? Well, I wish I had a crystal ball in 30 minutes, because I could really the intuitive thinking, vision thinking is along the lines of anything, is that you take people with vision and you capture that energy and those ideas, that intuitiveness, and you bring them to the table and say, we want you to be a part. I think Wayne County has been slack in that. I really do.
Really?
Yeah. I think that you get people with great ideas to come along and say, I've got a great idea, and you just don't listen, and then 4 or 5 years later you hear them in another county doing something and you say, wow, I wish that we would have listened to that. It's not the same as it used to be. It's changing. The world's changing. Yeah. Eastern North Carolina is changing. To be a part of that change, you have to be receptive. You have to be sensitive to other people's ideas. No matter the party line, no matter the color, no matter the gender, you've got to bring everybody at the table and communicate with those people. And I think we've been lax in that. But I think that's changing. In fact, I know that's changing. So as we grow, and the people that are coming along, the young people, not just educate them, we've got to listen to them. They've got some great ideas. They're way out there. Yeah. I mean, I'm 60.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about that.
We did talk about that.
But I've come to listen to a 25-year-old that's got some wild ideas, and I'm saying, you know, you really need to put that on paper, and let's discuss that. And it's the same with people who aren't living here, who come through our military base.
Yeah.
It brings people through here, and they're here for a year or two, 3, and they come into a meeting and they're new, and you listen to what they've got to say, and you wonder, well, wow, where are you from?
Yeah.
You know? And they say, well,
Yeah.
or what brings you to Wayne County?
And can you stay
Listen.
here?
Right. Yeah.
Move to
So
Wayne County. We
well,
need you.
Yeah, but it's being a commissioner, it gets you in and privy to sit in on a lot of meetings, meet a lot of people, a lot of networking. I've learned a lot, and still learn. I'm still learning.
And unfortunately, we're out of time, and we could go on like this for hours, I suppose, there, Steve. But thank you so much for being with us today. Great information.
Have you walked this week?
I have.
Have you pushed that one plate away? That
I pushed 2 plates, away, and I have walked. How about you?
Yes, I have.
That's right. I tell you what, man, it feels good too.
Yes, let's keep that focused. A healthy Wayne County.
That's exactly right. We've been talking with Chairman of the County Commission Chair, Steve Keene. We appreciate you being with us. I'm Wayne Alley.
I'm glad to have with me this morning LaTerRie Ward, the Director of Community Affairs with the City of Goldsboro. She's going to share the accomplishments of the Mayor's Youth Council. Welcome back to the show, LaTerRie.
Thank you.
So
You
the
know I
Mayor's
love
Youth
the
Council. I
You
know
know
you
I
do.
do. You know I do.
Tell me about it. How many years have you been working with it? What it is? Give us some information.
Well, the Youth Council is a leadership program under the city. And just so happens it falls up under community affairs because we have a number of programs and work for a number of the community people involved in all of our activities. And we have the Youth Council is something like 125 to 140 people that serve on it.
My goodness, that's a large group.
Yes, and they're from all 10 different high schools.
That's what I was going to ask. So they're made up of children that are in all the different high schools. And what age group do you usually have in the Mayor's Youth Council?
They're in the 9th through the 12th grade.
Okay, so all of high school.
Yes, all of high school.
Interesting. So now do they have leadership roles within this? Do they have class president, or how does that work?
Oh yes, they elect their own officers, and they are president, vice president, secretary, correspondent secretary, treasurer, and a parliamentarian.
Oh my goodness. They have the whole group make up, right?
Oh yes, because they need it. And they're learning about Robert's Rules of Order, and they
Wonderful.
carry out their own meetings with their own agendas.
That is fantastic.
They meet the first and third Wednesday of each month at City Hall in the chamber, where they get a chance to have an overview just like the City Council.
That is awesome experience for kids that age to really be able to be a part of that, but also to be able to lead it,
Oh yes, now that's an interesting part.
I'm sure.
Also, we have the 18 and 19 service projects that they perform each year, and that's outside, over, and above their regular classes.
So tell me about some of these community service projects. That's a lot, 18 in a year?
Yes, now one of their major ones is actually bingo at the Emeritus Pines as well as Bryan Center, because they like working with senior citizens in the bingos, and that's really exciting for the senior citizens to see
I'm sure.
playing bingo and winning.
And winning, that's the
And
ticket
winning.
right there, huh?
That's a great opportunity, and the kids enjoy it.
So do they like lead it and then interact also with
They do a little bit of both. They like calling the numbers, and some of the
sure.
seniors like to be helped, and others do not. And trust me, they use anywhere from 1 to 4 cards in
Wow.
playing bingo.
That amazes me how people can look at 4 and 5 cards all at one time.
It's true, but it's good.
Yeah.
It's good. It shows that they're really attentive.
You're exactly right.
And the youth council also they serve at the soup kitchen, and a new program that was established by a youth council member called the Last Saturday Supper, which is making somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 meals once a month over at one of the area churches for the homeless.
Wow. It's amazing what these kids can accomplish.
Oh yes, and they also collect pennies for angels. That's
I've heard
a new
about that,
project.
yeah.
And that assists with cancer patients in their needs. So that's a biggie. They always like to participate in that.
Well, my goodness, I remember hearing about them doing the Easter baskets, and you all bought more bunnies across Wayne County, then you knew what to do
Oh,
with to make
tell
all
me
these
about it.
hundreds of Easter baskets that you all sold.
We also bought out Fayetteville.
Did you really?
We bought out Fayetteville as
Wow.
well. The kids love the Easter basket program, and that's how they help raise their scholarship funds and for their trip to the state spring convention.
My goodness. And don't you all also, during the Christmas holidays, do a lot of gift wrapping?
Yes, we do. That's the second major fundraiser we have, and that's Easter. At Christmas, we gift wrap in the mall for Christmas, and that's donations. So we make quite a few, and people come from all over just to get their gifts wrapped.
Well, you know, when they know each year that the Mayor's Youth Council will be there wrapping, that's wonderful to know that they're, number one, getting their gifts wrapped, but they're also giving back
Exactly.
towards scholarships.
Oh, absolutely. And the kids love coming out there helping, and you would be surprised at the number of parents that love to come out as well.
Interesting.
And we do have people that are regulars. I do remember a truck driver that actually comes every year with a bag, drops his bag off, go have dinner at the K&W, and then come back and pick his
Well,
bag
that's
up.
the way to do it. That's
Great.
the way to do
That's
it.
great.
Well, LaTerrie, it sounds like you really keep these youth involved in so many things in the community, and they're really learning all different aspects of
Oh,
what
yes.
community service really is.
Oh, yes, and one of the major events, too, is they actually shadow different departments at the end of the year. And this year we shadowed about 10 departments with the city and the county.
That's wonderful.
Of course, we did have two that actually went with two judges that we had here locally. And
really?
they loved that. They
Oh, I
loved
bet that was a great experience
Of
for
course,
them.
and with the mayor. We can't leave him out.
Of course
we
not.
always have one or two that wants to be with the mayor.
I'm quite sure. As a matter of fact, I think I met both of them this year. I think the
Good.
mayor brought them by my office
Great.
too.
That's great.
Well, LaTerrie, tell me more about how the youth gets involved at the state level.
Okay, by us being a youth council, we are chartered with the State Youth Council, which is about 27 charter state youth councils across the state of North Carolina, and which means we have to make sure that we attend at least one, well, all 4 of the state youth council meetings across the state a year. That's 4 a year, and it can be hosted by any council. And this year, we did bid for a conference for next year at the beach.
Oh, we'd
So-
love to be able to host one. That would be wonderful.
That would be great. Now, we did host the first conference this year in September. That was a leadership conference. And we had about 8 different cities of students that came in to participate.
Nice. Now, I think I heard some exciting news at the city council the other night when you were presenting all the seniors with their awards and those type things. Did I hear that you were giving out a tremendous amount of scholarships?
Yes, we gave out about $2,000 in scholarships.
That is
to
awesome.
all of the youth. And we actually gave out 2 big $500 scholarships. And those students had to do exceptional. And all the kids had to at least have a 3.5 GPA.
That's great. That's great. So that was, this past council was the night that you presented all the seniors to the city council. You gave them awards. You had them come up and shake all the councilmen's hands.
Yes, and they actually received a certificate also from the Department of Administration, because the secretary actually signed each one of them certificate for participating on the Youth Council. And we actually gave out scholarships, and the students will be going to at least 18 area colleges. and
Well, I remember
universities.
hearing you talk about all the different schools that the youth were going to, and I was amazed.
And we have one actually going to West Point this year.
I know. I was so proud. That
And that's
is
a
amazing.
$250,000.
You know, we have some fantastic youth,
We do.
but being a part of leadership programs such as Mayor's Youth Council, I really, really, truly feel that it is so important for as many children to be exposed to that as possible, because it really
is.
does open doors for you.
It is, and how we're now asking students to participate on the council is actually on our website, so they can go there and apply, as well as they can come up and pick up a hard copy in the Community Affairs office.
So if they go to the city's website, which is goldsboronc.gov, do they just go under departments?
Yes, under departments and go to Community Affairs
Community Affairs. That's right.
and look up the Mayor's Youth Council, and they should be able to find all the information that they need.
Wonderful. That sounds great. Well, so you've got many children going to schools all over, not just North Carolina,
Oh, absolutely.
but all over the United States. And you've got $2,000 worth of scholarships that were given out, 18 community service projects
Yes.
these children did. And tell me about next year's leaders.
Next year's leader, they're already in place, and they're working hard because they do stop by during the summer to try to go ahead and get orientated into what they're planning to be next year.
So now, did one of your members, did he actually hold a state
level position?
Position as
oh,
well?
yes. We have Andre Elliott, and he is just exceptional. Andre will be, well, he was elected to be the state chair for next year.
Wow.
So that's really good. And the North Carolina Advisory Council voted him in as the best outstanding youth council in the state.
And that's one of our youth right here in Goldsboro.
Right here in Goldsboro.
Congratulations, Andre. Well, we'd love to have him on the show.
Good.
Bring him in and let's talk about him.
We would love to come back and talk about that.
That sounds wonderful. Well, LATERRIE, it sounds like you've done great things for 28 years with this group, and we look forward to many, many more.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and this is what's happening in your community.
Our guest in the studio today is Peter Wene, and Peter's with the Wayne County Amateur Radio Association. Peter, how you doing?
Good, fine, thank you.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
I appreciate you coming in. Now, I want to get right to it because a lot of people, they hear radio, and they think one way or they think another way, and they're not really certain what amateur radio is. And briefly, if you would, tell me, what is amateur radio?
Well, in a nutshell, Wayne, amateur radio is radios, which is send and receive, unlike broadcast, where the broadcast studio just broadcasts out for your listening audience.
Right.
Amateur radio is send and receive. You make contacts with other individuals via an HF, which is high frequency, a VHF, a UHF frequencies. So it's the hobby of communicating via radios.
And that's it.
That's basically in a nutshell.
Well, and that's a good explanation. But I had always, well, ham radio is one form of amateur radio.
Well, ham radio is the acronym for amateur radio.
Yes, it is, and that's been around for such a long time.
Yes, sir.
And as I was explaining to a person the other day, millions of people around the world are ham radio operators.
Correct.
So that's what we're talking about. And you, as a ham radio operator, an amateur radio operator, you can talk to someone in other countries, across the nation, or down the street.
Absolutely. Via amateur radio, I've made contacts with such people as King Hussein of Jordan, which is halfway around the world.
That is.
Ronnie Millsap, who is a country western singer.
Born in Robbinsville, North Carolina.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it covers all aspects of life, male, female, all, you know, anybody can be an amateur radio operator. There's 700,000 amateur radios operators in the United States currently.
700,000.
Just in the United States. And we are the third most populous country as far as amateur radio operators go. Japan, oddly enough, has like 1,000,001, a small country.
Really?
Yes, sir.
That's amazing. That's just amazing. Okay, well, so how did you get into amateur radio? How did you get into ham radio?
Well, ham radio is actually a licensed service by the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, and you earn a license by taking a test. In days past, there was 5 levels of amateur radio. There was a novice, which was your entry level, a technician class, a general class, an advanced class, and an extra class. And each class of license gave you different privileges on different operating frequencies. Today, to streamline it, they have eliminated the necessity for code. There's no more CW Morse code requirement.
Really?
Correct.
That's a shame.
That it is, because with CW, that's your basic form of communication.
Yes.
If nothing else works, CW works. Morse code works.
Yes.
Today we have a technician's class license, we have a general class license, and an extra class license. And they have distributed the privileges across those 3 licenses. There's entry-level tests. You take a 35-question test, and if you pass it, you're issued a license. You can order study guides online. You can just Google. Of course, Google is now the moniker everybody uses.
Oh, yeah, everybody Googles.
You can Google amateur radio licensing,
right.
And you can, from Amazon, you can order the license manual for your technician class, study it, and you go to the ARRL website, and there'll be a list of testing locations. There's always one in Smithfield once a month, Greenville, Kenston, and occasionally Goldsboro Club will hold a testing session.
I know years ago, having visited friends, and I have a lot of friends who are into ham radio, but years ago I remember visiting some sites, and these were in fact rooms set up outside the home, and these rooms were in little utility buildings, or in fact little travel trailers, and there were license and things that you have shared with other ham radio operators around the world. You have all these antennas up, and you have all this giant equipment. Now it's changed since then. The equipment is a lot smaller than it used to be. What does it take for someone to get into dollar-wise ham radio?
Well, the finest equipment, of course, is more expensive.
Sure.
You could build your own equipment, or you can buy used equipment. We have what they call a ham fest. It's like a big flea market for amateur radios. There's one in Raleigh once a year. There's one in Kinston once a year. There's one up in Richmond once a year, and you can buy used equipment very reasonably. You can, at the minimal technician license, you can get on the air with a small handy-talkie, Chinese handy-talkie, for under $100. So you can actually start your amateur career for under $100.
Wow. All right, and we're almost out of time here, but we're going to continue this conversation with Peter WENE. Later in the week, you will be asked to join us again. We're going to go into more detail about how you can become a ham radio operator, and we will recommend that you go to a couple of meetings of the Wayne County Amateur Radio Association. That website is K4 what?
K4CYP.com.
K4CYP.com, or just search on the net for Wayne County Amateur Radio Association.
Correct.
All right, Peter WENE, our guest today, and we'll be back later in the week to talk more with Peter.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And we're back on Wayne Goldsboro Television.
Yeah, okay, today is the 10th of the month of June. Oh boy, how quickly it is moving along. We're going to look over birthdays here very quickly if we may.
Yes, we may.
May we do that?
We may.
Elizabeth Hurley having a birthday today.
Oh.
Yes, she
how
is.
about
She
that?
is a British model, of course, an actress in 2 Austin Powers films, but she's 47 today. Bonnie Prince Phillip is having a birthday today. He is a young 91.
Goodness.
Yes, he is, of course, the Duke of Edinburgh. He is married to the Queen. He's been a constant force during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II.
My daughter actually met their son. She, as a part of the Miss America system, they're offered the opportunity to work towards this goal of getting either a bronze, a silver, or a gold medal through the Duke of Edinburgh. You have to follow all these different categories, and if you at least get a silver, you get to meet him in person and have conversations with him, and he thanks you and appreciates you for, you know, working towards these goals, these community service goals. And she got a gold medal, and so she got to go up to actually Birmingham, Alabama. There was a group of about 6 of them from This America, and they got to go up and meet him, and she said they got to talk to him for, you know, a good hour or so. And she said it was extremely personable. He really was. And they had a good conversation, and he, of course, the whole thing is called the Duke of Edinburgh Awards.
Right.
And it was just quite an interesting experience.
How about that?
Yep. Just side note.
That's a good side note, yes. Tara Lipinski is having a birthday today. She is 30, U.S. figure skater, won the Olympic gold at Nagano in 1998. Carolyn Hennessy is 50. She's an actress known for her roles on General Hospital, Cougar Town, and True Blood.
I believe we may be finished for the day, Mr. Alley.
We just got here.
I know, but it's that time of day already. It's time for us to end it.
Who's
we'll
on?
be back tomorrow with quite a few interesting interviews. We have some information from the Arts Council of Wayne County,
That's
the
good.
YMCA, and more. So
And
stay
more.
tuned, and more.
That's more. That's right. So we'll be right here tomorrow. I hope you're here with us. And until then, I'm Wayne Alley.
And I'm Kim Best, and this is what's happening in your community.